Hi friends, welcome back or welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, the subconscious mind, and how you can use your subconscious mind and reprogram it to change and transform the experience of reality that you are currently having and switch to a version of reality that you would prefer to be in. Everything that you are experiencing has been birthed from your subconscious mind. Not from your parents, not from your peers, not from your boyfriend or girlfriend, not from the environment that you're in, but from how your mind has subconsciously stored all the information that you have perceived consciously up until now, how it has perceived it, how it has stored it. That is what's creating continuously your patterns, your behaviors, your experiences, everything in your life. Even if you consciously know, for example, you want something different for yourself, you want a new reality, a new version of event, a new relationships, a new career, whatever, and even though you know you want that, if that is not impressed upon your subconscious mind, then it will not be birthed into your reality. So I want to explain to you why I'm using the word birthed. I want to explain to you the role of the subconscious compared to the conscious mind and compared to the superconscious or God mind that is within each of us, how those kind of fit in, what are each of their roles, how they interact with each other. And then I'm going to tell you how you can actually reprogram your subconscious so that you can have what you actually want to experience in your reality. Within each of us, we have our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and then we also have our God mind or our superconscious mind. The word superconscious I got from the book The Game of Life and How to Play It. I'll pop an image of it here. What it basically is referring to is the God mind within each of us, okay? So we're each expressions of the divine. We're each little mini gods in our own way. We are all created in God's image. We are all a part of the infinite divine, the all-knowing mind, okay? Even when we look at the Hermetics, they say the universe is mental, the all is mind. There is an infinite intelligence that has created everything, but that infinite intelligence also exists within us. It's a part of us. We were created by it. And so we are it as well. As well as being physical beings, we are also spiritual beings. We have access to all of these different elements. So if we even think about the three planes of existence, we exist on a physical, mental, and spiritual plane. Physically, what's tied up in our physical plane is our conscious mind, okay? So the conscious mind is always trying to predict, trying to think, control, using reasoning, logic, and really our conscious mind is really concerned with our survival in this physical world. By virtue of us descending down to this physical plane and becoming actual physical beings in a body, we had to develop a conscious mind in order to keep us safe. So the conscious mind is very concerned with keeping us safe. It is logical thinking, taking on information, and it feeds back into the subconscious, but the most important thing for the conscious mind is really just our survival. Then we have the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is your unconscious operating system. It is the part of your mind that is keeping your body running without you thinking about it. Okay? So if we think about the mental plane, you can conceptualize that almost as your subconscious mind. Whatever is in there, you don't think about consciously, but it's what's keeping you breathing, it's what's keeping your heart beating, it's what is getting your body to digest your food, and it's also processing the information conveyed by the conscious mind, which we're going to get into in a minute because not all information is created equal, but I will explain that in a minute, okay? Wait. It is storing the significant information, which I'll tell you about in a second, in the subconscious, in the back of your mind, so you don't have to keep thinking about it, but it's a program that's kind of instilled in there in the background so that, for example, if you see a lion running towards you, you can know immediately to run without thinking about it. It is the birthplace of all your automatic reactions, your habits, your behaviors. If you have bad posture, like I've got terrible posture sometimes, I'm trying to retrain myself, that's coming from your subconscious. That is literally just a subconscious habit. Everything that you do without really thinking too much about it automatically is coming from your subconscious mind. How you react emotionally is coming from your subconscious mind. Even just the limits you're placing on yourself in terms of your identity, everything like that is coming from what is stored in your subconscious. Your subconscious is literally the birthplace of all of your physical experiences. So 90 to 95% of how we think, feel, act, react, respond, everything comes from our subconscious mind, not our conscious mind. Did you ever stop and wonder, why am I having these thoughts? Why do I have these habits? Why do I have these patterns? Why are they so hard to break? Why can't I just decide to break them? It's because they're coming from a deeply embedded belief or information that has been planted into your subconscious, and once it gets in there, that is what is ruling you, and that is what is influencing you. That is what is triggering you to act and be a certain way in this lifetime. So your subconscious, I hope you're realizing by now, is very, very important. And then we have the spiritual plane, which is also going to be where your God mind, your non-physical being, the infinite intelligence that you can tap into, that's where that's going to be housed. So we all have access to the infinite intelligence of God, of the all. We are a part of it, and so we have access to it. Because your subconscious is the birthplace of everything in your reality, your subconscious still is not exactly creating these things. It's almost sending up a signal, depending on what your conscious thoughts imprint into your subconscious. Once your subconscious accepts the idea, it basically emits a signal to the superconscious, okay? The everything, the all that is, the source. And then we gain from that the infinite intelligence in line with whatever truth is now in our subconscious. And then from there, we get intuitive action, beliefs, emotions, thoughts that are in line with that information that we got from superconscious, depending on what we put in our subconscious. So there's levels to this. I'm sorry if that was kind of convoluted, but there are levels to this, but I really want you to get into your head that it's not coming from you. You are a funnel for the information that is in the divine plane. You have access to the divine plane, but what you're getting from the divine plane is literally going to be depending on what order you have put in there with your subconscious thoughts that have been implanted by your conscious thoughts. You see this in the Bible in multiple verses. The Holy Spirit is within us. You can also see this in the Kabbalion, the Hermetic philosophies, the all is mind and the universe is mental, and as above, so below, as within, so without. It is all just a very intricate system that's been laid out extremely intelligently by infinite intelligence for the expansion of our souls. And we end up trapped in fear and suffering when we place far too much importance on our own conscious thoughts and our own conscious actions, because those are always going to be limited in nature, whereas God is unlimited. And when you're using yourself and your own conscious thinking as your source, you are always going to get a limited experience. You are always going to shoot yourself in the foot and cap what you can have in this life. But when you know God is your supply, that will allow you to get out of the way, because that's really all that's happening. When you're feeding into your physical reality with your conscious thoughts, with your worries, with your controlling, with your predicting, with your animal mind, whose only job is to protect your physical survival in this physical reality, you are always going to have a limited result. But when you can trust in the divine and the fact that everything you want already exists, and you can let go of fear and doubt and insecurity, that is when those things will come into your life in the most miraculous way, and in a way that your conscious mind never would have been able to plan or figure out, because it is not a logical thing. It's spiritual, and it is not on your animal brain to figure out how you're going to get to your desired dream life. if your animal brain is trying to figure it out, then it's going to not be the right divine path. And I need you to really start to understand that, because that is how you start to live a life paved with miracles, when you start getting out of the way, okay? So your conscious mind's job is not to figure everything out. In fact, when you keep trying to consciously figure things out, you're getting in your own way, and you're getting in the way of divine knowledge and intuition coming in and guiding the path for you through your subconscious, okay? But it is the job of the conscious mind to impress ideas upon the subconscious that can be cast up to the superconscious, and then intuition and everything is brought back down, okay? So how are ideas impressed upon the subconscious mind? Not all information is created equal. Not everything that you consciously think about is going to end up in your subconscious mind, because that would be crazy. And this would be a crazy world. If you were thinking about pink giraffes one time, how crazy would it be to see pink giraffes running around? That would be insane. So the only information that is really important for the purposes of imprinting upon your subconscious mind is information that you buy into with your emotions, right? And that you feel internally to a level of internal knowing. When you really truly understand and believe in something to the point that you have that internal knowing, that feeling within you, that is when that information is impressed upon your subconscious mind. Not when you're saying an affirmation and saying, I'm so rich, and you're thinking about how not rich you are. That doesn't work. It is when you are clearly seeing something, clearly imagining or clearly seeing something, and strongly feeling an inner knowing about that thing. That's when that information will get conveyed to your subconscious. When you have that feeling of knowing, when it feels like a truth, that's when it gets into your subconscious mind. So this is really important to know, because there's no use doing affirmations and all of these other things unless they're helping you to gather that feeling of an internal knowing. And that's the goal with all those exercises. So those exercises have their place, but you have to know the actual threshold to get into your subconscious mind. I want you to think of it like a meter. So the more you just know something, and you know it to be true for you, and you believe it and you feel it, right? In your heart, you feel, I know this is true. It will override, let's say for example, you've got a belief of lack. You don't need to actually completely wipe out the old belief. You can, that's part of a rewiring process. And if you want more on that, by the way, you can join my private community. I do step-by-step exercises to guide you through that process. You can go through and instill doubt into whatever you think you might have a knowing about in your subconscious that isn't serving you, which might take the legs and the emotional sting out of something. But more powerful than that is to bring in an opposing belief. So let's say you've been believing in lack and you want to believe in abundance. You bring in an opposing belief and you generate a feeling of inner knowing towards that new opposing belief to the point that it overrides the old belief. And that is when the old belief will just fall away and cease to exist. You don't have to keep focusing on the old belief. And even in my community, I do an exercise where we rewire beliefs. So the first part is to identify, the second part is to understand, the third part is to release, and then the fourth part is to overcome. I would even suggest just focusing on that one time. If you can identify, okay, I obviously have a belief of lack, I understand where it's coming from, I release it because now I know that this, and this isn't true for me anymore. And then I'm going to overcome it with this new belief. The overcoming step is the most important step. The other ones can just help a little bit because they almost just take the strength out of the old belief. So you don't have that knowing towards it as much as you used to. But the most important part is the overcoming part. So if you can 100% buy into a new belief that goes against your old belief will fall away. It can be very helpful to pick a new belief that you actually can believe in. In fact, if you can't find yourself being able to believe in this thing that you want to believe in, it's not going to work and you're better off aiming lower for now. It's kind of like contrary advice to what other people might give you. But if there's no way in hell that you are going to be able to believe in something even though you want it, then choose something that's kind of a lower hanging fruit that you actually can buy into. So for example, instead of having a belief that I am so bad at interviews, I fail at every interview I do, instead of you trying to go from I fail at every interview I do and I'm terrible at interviews to I am absolutely incredible at interviews, I succeed in every interview that I do. If that is too difficult for you to believe right now, you want to find something that you can believe in. So an example in this situation would be, I am more comfortable in interviews than I ever have been before. Do you see how that feels better? It feels more empowering, and it feels like you can believe in that. So rather than saying, I'm a massive success and I get a call back for every interview I do, because it's so polar opposite to what you've experienced before, you want to get something that is a stepping stone, okay? And that will make this process much easier for you. And then once you really do buy into the fact that you are more comfortable in interviews, that you do feel more at ease expressing yourself, then you can take the next step, which is like, I succeed in every interview that I do, okay? You can build and build and build on this. So whether you're doing scripting, whether you are doing vision boards, affirmations, visualizing, whatever you're doing, it's very important that you pay attention to how you're feeling. How you're feeling is what is actually bringing that information into your subconscious and determining whether it actually gets across the threshold to be implanted in there. If you don't feel strongly about it at the level of knowing that it's true for you now, it's not going to get in there. A kind of side exercise that you can do, for example, if you're trying to build up that belief that you're more comfortable, you want to start gathering evidence for that. If you're still finding it difficult to even feel that at a level of knowing, you want to literally write down evidence and reasons why it's true now. And when you're writing them, you want to really feel that knowing. Keep gathering evidence, gather examples, situations, even physically go out into the world and show yourself that you've been good at this, and this, and that can translate into this thing that you're now writing down. You want to get a solid bank of evidence for your new belief that's going to help you cultivate that feeling of inner knowing for this new belief. And then after you've done that, it's usually a better time to go and write like a short snippet to reaffirm that to yourself, and also to go and visualize yourself in that new experience. But there is something I want to tell you before we get into visualizing and everything like that, and that is that your brain waves matter. When you are in beta brainwave state and you are in your conscious, awake thinking state, where you may be in high stress, you may be trying to control and force and predict, your subconscious mind is so much less permeable than when you are in alpha or theta state, when your brainwaves have slowed down. That's why you'll see a lot of sleep subliminals. That's why you'll see teachers like Neville Goddard speaking about imagining the wish fulfilled as you fall asleep and saying it in the morning when you wake up. Because when you fall asleep and when you wake up and when you're asleep, your brain waves have slowed down and they're in alpha and theta brain states. You can also access these states when you are in meditation. You can access these states through breath work, through slowing down your breathing, and through coming into the present moment. And so you know when you've reached alpha or theta, when you're finally releasing your attachment to your incessant thinking. So as part of this practice of getting things into your subconscious mind, it's just as important to identify your old belief and affirm your new belief as it is to actually become very aware of what state you're in, okay? So if you are constantly in your conscious mind and your thoughts are yapping at you all day and you can't release your attachment to those thoughts, you are going to find it much harder to sink into a theta or alpha state where you're detached from your thinking. And if you can't get into that state, I'm sorry to say it, but you will find it almost impossible to get that information into your subconscious mind. So that's why teachers like Joe Dispenza, their meditations are very powerful and very effective, because he brings your awareness into your body in space, and that slows down your brain waves. When your consciousness flows from your survival, your conscious thoughts into your subconscious mind, that is when it is the perfect time to introduce new ideas, because those actually will get implanted. It's like you've lowered the barrier of all your monkey mind thoughts, chatter, all of that is just gone. And then when you bring in an idea, you can just go boop, and it's in there. And it's not as difficult, obviously, as it would be when your conscious mind is telling you why something's impossible, why it won't work, yada, yada, yada. So very importantly, the most important thing you could do if you want to reprogram your subconscious mind is to do the meditation that's linked in this description, or any meditation practice that allows you to regulate your breathing, calm down, come into your body, detach from your thoughts. And as soon as you feel yourself kind of let go of your attachment to your thoughts and just come into the present moment, you know in that moment your brain waves have slowed down. And that is the perfect time to visualize whatever experience you want to experience, whatever idea you want to imprint into your subconscious mind. You want to visualize yourself having experienced that, okay? You want to act it out as if you're living it right in that moment, and feel what it feels like as if it's already done. And that is the most powerful reprogramming technique I could ever give you. It's the one that's changed my life the most, more than anything. And it makes just the most sense based on everything we've spoken about. You want to feel what it feels like to be in that reality when you're already in a very relaxed and detached from your conscious thinking state. Let yourself sink into those feelings as if they're real. And when it begins to feel forced, when you begin to overthink it, you know that you are beginning to leave that state, and it's fine then to finish the practice there, because it's not going to be effective anymore. So it shouldn't feel forced. And the way that you can get it to not feel forced is by prioritizing meditation and detaching from your conscious mind consistently, from your thoughts consistently. So you can do this practice once, you can feel the feeling strongly once, and that can be enough, or you can do it multiple times. You can repeat it and increase your emotional investment into this new belief and this new experience, and then it will override the old one. So that's where repetition comes in. Repetition is useless unless it is being used to strengthen your emotional conviction in something. Then it is actually useful. This is why when people start to meditate, they begin to just transform every area of their lives, because they begin to realize that the way they've been consciously thinking about things does not have to be the way that it is. Your thoughts, your conscious thoughts don't actually need to continue to be reality for you. And there's another way to think about this. Your conscious mind is your masculine and your subconscious mind is your feminine. And until you balance both of those elements of you and you harness the power of both of them, you will never be the most powerful creator that you can be, because creation comes from balancing your masculine and feminine poles physically, mentally, and spiritually. That is when you become your most powerful and creative being, the version of yourself, right? And so when you're constantly in your conscious reasoning, survival, logic brain, you are overly attached to that masculine energy, and you're not allowing yourself to receive. You're not allowing yourself to receive intuition, to receive from God. You're standing right in the way of your creation by being overly attached to your thinking. You don't create anything. I'm going to say it again. You don't create anything. It already exists, and you trying incessantly to control and create is just slowing you down. So if you've never meditated before, the most difficult thing in the world is beginning to meditate, because you're teaching yourself to let go of your conscious thoughts, your thoughts running around in your head all the time. And when you do that, you're going to feel scared. There's going to be a high level of fear, because that is basically what we've attached to our survival in this physical world. So we think, oh my God, we're gonna not be safe if we let go of our thoughts, right? But what happens is when you finally let go of that conscious thought pattern and you just sink into the unknown, you are relishing in your feminine creative energy, and you are letting go of all the lack and limitation of your conscious mind in the physical world. And from there, you can really create something powerful. You can really implant an idea that has no limits, and your subconscious does not discriminate. If you accept something internally as a truth, your subconscious mind will accept it. It will just take it on as a truth, no matter how strange it is, no matter how grand it is, it will take it on as a truth. The only limits that are created are the limits that are within your human, animal, conscious mind. You're the one creating them consciously. But your subconscious doesn't care about the limits. It will just take what you give it. And then it will get to work calling upon the infinite intelligence and everything available to it to birth that into your reality. It will give you intuition. It will spur you into aligned action. And it will basically empower you to show up as the version of you who has that thing now that you've implanted that idea in there. You see this in the Bible, you see this in all the religious texts. Ask and you shall receive, Matthew 7:7. We can literally demand with our being. When we know something on an internal level, we can make a demand and we can ask for something. And God is always ready to give to us our deepest desires. Our wishes are ready to be fulfilled at all times. The only thing that actually stops us from realizing those desires and allowing those desires into our lives is our fear, doubt, insecurity. And that's all coming from our animal brain and the limitation that we're seeing consciously all around us and accepting as a truth. So we just need to get out of the way. Our conscious thoughts need to get out of the way, and we need to begin to trust. I love this quote from The Game of Life and How to Play It. The goal of this game of life is to see your good and destroy all mental pictures of evil by continuously impressing the subconscious with the realization of good. So when you catch yourself worrying and feeding into the limitation and the lack and the doubt and the fear, you must begin to catch yourself and ask yourself, why am I worrying when it's probably never going to happen? This is not my burden to carry, okay? Because the thing is, that is the truth. Anytime we go down a route of doubt and worry and insecurity and fear, when have you ever looked back at a time in your life when you felt all those doubts and all those fears and thought, thank God I was so scared. Oh, thankfully I was so fearful and so full of doubt. Never. It never ever works out that way. And if your worries ever do come true, they only ever were brought into being because you kept focusing on them. You created them by worrying on them, okay? So all of this worry and this doubt and this fear, it's completely unnecessary. And I want to just give you one last kind of mental tool to use as you're trying to go about shifting your reality and feeling better and embodying more of what you desire. And that is the principle of casting your burden. So I know it sounds very easy in theory for me to say, well, just don't worry, be happy. Like, okay, sure, but it is a practice. It's a practice of interrupting when, first of all, noticing when you're taking on a burden of worry, a burden of lack, a burden of limitation. You have to start to notice and identify when you do that and realize that that is not going to serve you. No amount of worrying, no amount of doubting, no amount of fear is going to get you where you need to go. It's not going to save you from anything, and it's not going to get you on the path that you want to be on. So you have to start letting it go. It is not necessary. And the way that you can do this, when you look at the Bible especially, it talks a lot about the Lord is our salvation, and it is God's job to take on our burdens. It is not the job of man. So we must cast our burdens to God, to the infinite intelligence. When you feel yourself trying to analyze and control and live in fear and predict and doubt, That is actually you, according to the Bible. That's you violating spiritual law when you're consciously taking these things on and constantly thinking about them. It's not your job. You can cast that to the God superconscious mind within you. You can cast it to the Christ within you, and you can say, I am free now to go forth and have plenty. I am free now to go forth and have success. I'm free now to go forth and have joy. You have the power to do that, and you should do that, because the only thing getting in the way of you actually fulfilling your desires and receiving those desires is your worry, your doubt, and your fear. When you walk up to the thing that you think you fear and you exercise sheer faith that it's going to be okay, the thing that you fear ceases to exist. Your fear is what creates the thing. Without it, it doesn't exist. So just know that you have so much power. You're an expression of the divine. But your ego and your conscious mind is going to try to limit you at every turn unless you start to interrupt it and cast those burdens of worry and let them go and allow good to come into your life. Get out of this masculine energy of trying to do and be and have, and allow yourself to just receive. Right now, wherever you're standing right now in your life, there are infinite possibilities. There are a million different paths for what you can experience next. But your ego and your limited conscious mind will have you thinking that there's only one way, and that is not the truth. So you have to start letting go of that. The only thing really that can bring in more good and your dreams and your desires is God, is the God within you, is your superconscious mind. So you have to allow that to come to work by getting your conscious ego mind out of the way and having faith that everything good that's ever happened to you has come from God, and everything good that's going to happen is also going to come from God. And with God as your supply, you don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to worry. You can trust that what is right is going to come to you at the right time and in the right way. When you act like this and move forward like this in your life also, it's going to reprogram your subconscious, because you're going to feel more relaxed and you're not going to keep focusing on the limits and the worries and the fears of the world. So what you're focusing on changes, and because you're now focusing on possibility over limitation, you're programming your subconscious to be open to more possibilities rather than just one limited version of things, which means you're open to receiving more from the divine. So that's all I'm going to go into today, guys. I'm going to leave it there because that was a lot of information. There's probably going to be many more videos I make on the subconscious mind. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated, please leave a comment down below, a like, and let me know. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. And also, if you didn't know, I have a private community hosted on School where I'm running meditations, workshops, different exercises, and all that good stuff, as well as a like-minded community where you can connect and grow with people on the same journey. Also, the link for private one-to-one coaching with me is down below. This is for people who are looking to make the shift to their desired reality and are ready to take the next steps and do the work to do so. You can find all the links down below. I hope this video helped. I love you guys, and I will see you all in the next video.